Tonight, sexual interference update. The Crown is now looking at Timothy Slosser's sentence. More job action, this time at the BC Liquor Store in Tumbler Ridge. And fire prohibition. All open fire bans have now been rescinded. Good evening and thank you very much for joining us. And we begin tonight with reaction to the sentencing of a man who pled guilty to sexual interference. In a Fort St. John courtroom last Friday, Timothy Slosser was handed a conditional sentence of house arrest for 18 months. The mother of the girl involved told CJDC-TV News that she was only 4 years old at the time. It happened in Fort St. John back in January of 2020. As part of the sentence, Judge Oliver Fleck also handed Slosser 36 months probation. Fleck is also allowing Slosser to continue working during his sentence. There was strong reaction on social media to the sentence, many saying Judge Fleck's sentence was too lenient. CJDC-TV News reached out to the BC Prosecution Service, and we asked if the Crown planned to appeal the sentence. The Prosecution Service saying, quote, "We are carefully reviewing the decision that was rendered on October the 3rd, 2025 by Judge Fleck," unquote. Oh, public service workers in BC escalating strike action once again with another 48 work sites behind picket lines. Tonight, that now includes the BC Liquor Store in Tumbler Ridge. The escalation comes one day after picket lines went up at BC liquor and cannabis stores in Fort St. John. Today, 2,600 more union members joining the picket line across the province. The BC General Employees Union saying 25,000 out of its 34,000 members are now participating in job action. There were brief talks last week between the union and the province, but they quickly broke off. The BC Liquor Store in Dawson Creek has been behind picket lines for the last week and a half. Some BC government offices, such as Natural Resources and Land Use Permits, are also behind picket lines. The Peace River Regional District approving $500,000. That's going towards the expansion of the fire hall in Pouce Coupe. Now, half of that money going to architectural design costs. The other half will fund the expansion itself. Fire officials saying the project is still in its early stages. They're planning to build a new training area as firefighters are currently training in the kitchen of the fire hall. Officials also say they're looking to add a decontamination area to help with cleaning gear after a call. The village of Pouce Coupe says in a statement, quote, "We're grateful to the PRRD for their support. It represents an important opportunity to strengthen local emergency response," unquote. The village adds it's currently assessing design options, funding models, and partnership opportunities. Well, fire officials say construction likely will not begin for at least 3 years. All remaining fire bans in place across Northeast BC have been rescinded as of today. That according to the BC Wildfire Service. The Wildfire Service now rescinding Category 2 and 3 open fire bans for Northeast BC. The announcement covers the Fort Nelson, Fort St. John, and Dawson Creek fire zones. The use of fireworks, lanterns, burn barrels, or cages, or any binary exploding targets are also now allowed. Last week, the Wildfire Service rescinded the Category 1 campfire ban. The BC Centre for Disease Control confirming 11 new cases of the measles across BC in their latest update. The BC CDC says all 11 cases were reported in the Northern Health Region, bringing the total here for the year to 210. Now, health officials say the majority of cases in the north are from the Northeast BC region. Across BC, there's been 282 cases reported so far this year. The update shows that Northeast BC has nearly 70% of all measles cases across British Columbia. The centre adds the province has yet to record a death associated with measles in 2025. And health officials are continuing to say that immunization is the best way to fight the disease. The province introducing new legislation today that would see more childcare spaces on school grounds.
Public schools are trusted spaces. They are community hubs, places where children go to learn, to play, and to spend their time. They hold incredible potential to offer the kinds of care and services that families need.
The School Amendment Act would enable school districts to provide childcare to kids of all ages, including infants and toddlers. This would include before and after school hours, as well as times like holidays and Pro D days when no classes are in session. And BC's Attorney General is pitching a plan to crack down on sexual violence. People who've had their intimate images shared without their consent could become eligible for higher compensation. It's one of the amendments being proposed to the Intimate Images Protection Act. If passed, the civil tribunal seeing cases could increase fines by 14 times the current limit, up to $75,000 in penalties. The NDP government is also introducing legislation to prevent and respond to sexual violence on post-secondary campuses. The war of words between the Premier of BC and Alberta continues tonight. David Eby has slammed Alberta's push for a new oil pipeline to the west coast, something Danielle Smith called un-Canadian. Yesterday, Smith spoke to the Prime Minister about the project before he left for Washington. CTV's Rachel Aiello on the spat and how soon you can expect Mark Carney to respond to the pipeline proposal.
Alberta's Premier brought her push for a new pipeline to Parliament Hill today.
All it takes is the Prime Minister to say yes, and so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get to that by mid-November.
Danielle Smith wants a bitumen pipeline from Alberta to British Columbia's west coast greenlit. But BC Premier David Eby has come out hard against the major project proposal, calling it a political creation that would put jobs and the coastline at risk. Today, Smith shot back.
I think Premier Eby's comments are un-Canadian and they're unconstitutional.
Eby then responded.
It's not the Danielle Smith show, it's the Canadian team. And we all deserve the same opportunity for the same federal funding for our projects as she does for hers. That's not un-Canadian.
Alberta's Premier said that in her brief meeting with Carney yesterday, he committed to getting back to her by mid-next month about the pipeline and Alberta carbon capture project and whether the Liberals are ready to repeal certain environmental policies. Today, the Liberals touted their approach.
What we're seeing is a number of premiers, conservative premiers, very excited about our goals to make Canada an energy superpower.
While in the nation's capital, Premier Smith also met with federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre and his caucus. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Well, months after closing dozens of stores across Canada, Peavey Mart is hiring as it looks to make a comeback. The Canadian hardware chain has new owners, a numbered investment group, and it says it's opening locations in Spruce Grove, Westlock, Camrose, and Lacombe, Alberta sometime this fall. The company's distribution hub is in Red Deer County. A number of jobs are now posted online. Peavey Mart filed for creditor protection and closed 90 of its stores nationwide earlier this year. The new owners have secured the naming rights and associated intellectual property in April. The company was founded here in Dawson Creek in 1967. So far, no word about plans to reopen in British Columbia. And if you'd like to start your day with the morning coffee at Tim Hortons, get ready to shell out a little bit more. The coffee chain says it's raising coffee prices for the first time in 3 years. The cost going up 1.5% per cup. According to Tim Hortons, the price of its coffee beans has more than doubled, contributing to the price hike. The two leaders of the so-called Freedom Convoy will not face jail time for their roles in the 2022 blockade in the nation's capital. Instead, an Ottawa judge has handed the pair conditional sentences. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
Already convicted of mischief, Tamara Leach and Chris Barber, the two main leaders of the Freedom Convoy, arrived to hear their fate.
Lawrence, what do you think will happen today? What are you hoping for?
Hoping that Tamara doesn't go to jail.
A supporter was arrested before the judge even handed down her sentence. The trial has revealed schisms in society over vaccine mandates, but Justice Heather Perkins McVeigh said it did not factor into her decision. Politics has no place in this court and plays no role in the determination of what is a fair, just, and appropriate sentence, she said. For their role as organizers in the 3-week occupation of downtown Ottawa in 2022, both Barber and Leach were given conditional sentences of 18 months. It includes 1 year under house arrest and a curfew after that. Barber helped coordinate the movement of trucks. His lawyer says he won't appeal.
It was a lawful protest. She found that it turned into unlawful because of the blockage of the streets.
The judge took into account more than $55 million in police costs and the lost revenue for businesses, as well as the disruption of community services. But the court also acknowledged that both Barber and Leach did try to limit the footprint of the convoy. Leach had already spent 49 days in jail.
There were many people in the downtown core and businesses that were affected by the Freedom Convoy. She doesn't deny that. The question of was there remorse for what she did? No.
Leach's lawyer says they're still considering appealing her mischief conviction. Meanwhile, both leaders of the Freedom Convoy are facing a civil lawsuit. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Well, an apparent love-in between two leaders as Canada's Prime Minister is welcome to the White House for high-level talks on trades and tariffs. This was Mark Carney's second trip to the Oval Office in Washington at the invitation of the U.S. President. But, as Mike Couture reports, it comes at a time when Donald Trump is threatening new tariffs.
With a firm but friendly handshake, Prime Minister Mark Carney arrived at the White House for his working lunch with U.S. President Donald Trump.
We're going to be talking about trade. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things.
In a 32-minute Oval Office meeting, Trump called Carney a great man several times, adding he's confident they'd work through the issues preventing a deal on tariffs.
He's a world-class leader. He's a man that knows what he wants. And I'm not surprised to see that he won the election and won it substantially, and I would think he's more popular now. He's a good man. He does a great job, and he's a tough negotiator.
He's a great man, and you want to do a deal with Canada. Why aren't you?
Because I want to be a great man, too.
Trump says the two countries are in a natural business conflict because Canada and the U.S. want to make similar things on both sides of the border.
It's a tough situation because we want to make our cars here. At the same time, we want Canada to do well making cars. So we're working on formulas, and I think we'll get there.
Carney said the two countries are competing, not in conflict.
We are the largest foreign investor in the United States. $500 billion in the last 5 years alone, probably $8 trillion in the next 5 years if we get the agreement that we expect to get.
Following the meeting, the minister in charge of Canada-U.S. trade updated reporters on how it went.
It concluded with the President and the Prime Minister directing us, me and my colleagues, and the President, his cabinet secretaries who were there, Ambassador Greer, Secretary Lutnick, and others, to continue the conversation and to quickly land deals that will bring, we think, greater certainty in areas where the principal areas would be steel and aluminum and energy.
In a sign that work will be continuing, Dominic LeBlanc is staying in D.C. for the next 24 hours for more meetings. And this evening, Prime Minister Carney is having a working dinner with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. Mike Couture, CTV News, Washington.
Well, today marks 2 years since the October 7th massacre. It was the deadliest attack on Jewish people since the Holocaust. More than 1,200 were killed by Hamas terrorists, more than 250 others taken hostages. The Israeli military campaign that followed the deadly attack has killed nearly 70,000 Palestinians, and it's left much of Gaza's population homeless and hungry. CTV's Heather Wright has more.
For many, there is a before October 7th, 2023, and an after. 731 days since life changed forever.
I couldn't do anything physically. I was broken.
Rayut Kadar grew up on a kibbutz in Israel and moved with her family to Canada 7 years ago.
Peace was a big part of my life growing up, and talking about peace and learning Arabic at school and talking about sharing future. And I don't know that that's something that will happen when I get to see it.
Her family has experienced anti-Semitism since the war in Gaza began. A swastika was drawn on her son's computer at school, and her family tries to avoid speaking Hebrew in public.
Why does people associate me with the Israeli government? All of my Israeli friends who live in Toronto, none of them support the government.
For Noura Sharab, each day begins preparing for the worst.
Every single day you wake up, you check your phone and check if your family's alive.
Sharab lives in Mississauga, but has aunts, uncles, and cousins in Gaza. Last week, she says 12 relatives were killed while waiting for food.
They were standing in line and they were attacked.
Leaders are meeting in Egypt this week, negotiating the terms of a possible ceasefire. Sharab says the plan put forward by U.S. President Donald Trump isn't perfect, but it's something.
The first thing that is at the top priority for anybody in Gaza right now is the stopping of the bombs that is raining down on them. The fact that they don't know when the next safe space is going to be.
As part of these ceasefire talks, Hamas has said it is willing to release all remaining hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. But there are other parts of the American plan that could be non-starters. Israel has said it will not end the war unless Hamas disarms, something the terror group may be unlikely to agree to. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Well, 3 scientists are being honored with the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physics. John Clark, Michel Devoret, and John Martins have all been awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for their breakthrough work in quantum mechanics. The breakthrough connects complex science with real-world applications. Their research helped pave the way for quantum computers and other new technologies. They'll share the prize money worth 1.6 million Canadian dollars. The Nobel Committee says their work brings quantum science closer to everyday life. All right, please do stay tuned. Noel will be right back after the break with weather.